Friends, this is Scott with Modern Living Off-Grid, and today I'd like to take you on a tour of our off-grid farm site. We purchased this property about 15 years ago, and this was an old farm site that was used for about 80 years as a homestead. It originally had 2 homes. It had a barn out where the corn is, it had horses, it had cattle, it had pigs, it had all sorts of stuff until the economy went bad in the 80s and the owner basically lost everything. A few years later, lightning hit the house, burned down the house, and from then on, the acreage here that we're standing on, which is about 3 acres, we own 10 acres, 7 out in the field, about 3 acres here, basically became overgrown. It became overgrown with trees, branches had fallen, trees had fallen. It was pretty much a mess when we bought it, but we saw the potential in the property. What we really like about having this piece of property is we're pretty much off-grid out here. We have no electric, no water, no sewer, so there's no utilities with this property. We basically, when we're down here, we spend the majority of our time in our Sprinter Travel trailer. I've got another video I posted that you can take a look at the trailer, but by having that trailer here, it basically means that we're self-contained. I don't need to worry about keeping the septic system in compliance. I don't have to worry about keeping the well in compliance, nor do I have any utility bills. All of our power comes from solar and a wind turbine that we can take a look at. The other advantage we have with this property, which is really added benefit, is we have a building. Now typically if the weather goes bad, or if we're going to leave the property for an extended period of time, we'll basically take the slides, bring the slides in on the camper, and we'll go ahead and stick the camper inside the building. This is one of our portable solar panels. I've kind of done a bad job today and I haven't moved it. Our batteries are full, so I'm not really too concerned about the extra power. But we use this particular panel to kind of move around the property. As you can see, a few hours ago, this area was exposed to full sun. Now it's shaded. So later I'll probably move that guy into the sun and try to get a little top off before we go into the evening. As we continue walking towards the property here, this year we've got corn. Now we don't own the corn. The corn's not ours, but the property is. So our property extends, quite a ways out into this field. The advantage of that is that the farmer that rents our land covers 100% of the expenses that it takes to keep this property. And basically it's just real estate taxes, which run about $300 a year for the 10 acres we have here. And then insurance. Insurance on the building I think is maybe $20 or $30 a year. Very, very inexpensive. So our total cost is probably about $350 a year. The rent we get off the little over 7 acres is probably closer to $1,100 or $1,200, so it really easily covers the expenses. As we move towards the back of the Quonset hut, this is where we have our wind turbine. This wind turbine probably provides, I'd say probably 80% of all the power we use on the property. It's a 400 watt turbine at 12 volts. We're kind of in an area in the southern part of Minnesota that gets a lot of wind. There's a lot of big commercial wind towers around us. And this is a wind tower we built out of just scrap iron we had laying around. So it really does a good job. Wind is blowing pretty hard right now, but as you can see, it's barely moving. Batteries are fully charged. We just don't need the added power. We've also got a few 200 watt solar panels we put up here just to give us a little bit extra power. As long as we had the cabling coming to our battery bank, it was easy just to tap in and add a couple hundred watts of solar. So on days that maybe the wind isn't quite as strong, we can keep our batteries charged off of the solar. To continue around the property, again, this is our land. Again, it's not our corn. We rent the land out. But what's nice about it, it gives us a nice buffer. There's 640 acres in this section, and we are the only people that occupy any part of this. Otherwise, it's all basically corn. Another nice thing about this is Max really loves it down here. We got about 3 acres here with the grove that he can just come and play and be a dog and just run. So it's really nice to have a place like this. Kind of give you a little bit of idea where you are. If you take a look over there, you can see the trailer is. So we started over there and we kind of made a big circle around the Quonset hut. We've got a yard light. We actually got 5 yard lights on the property. They're all running 12 volt LED bulbs. So I don't have to run my inverter. If I need power, I just flip a switch like any other household and I've got power, or excuse me, I've got light. Being it's LED, it's extremely efficient. As we continue on, like I said earlier, when we bought this property, this was completely overgrown. Right in this area here, there were trees down. We went through several mowers. You know, we luckily bought them at garage sales. We destroyed several mowers as we're mowing along. The grass was literally, 2 or 3 feet tall. We'd be going along, we'd hit a stump, we'd hit a tree we didn't know about. We took out another mower. We usually picked them up at garage sales for 20 bucks. But it took a while to get this mowed down. To continue back here, we had a lot of rocks on the property and we were not sure what are we going to do with all these rocks. So we decided to make a trail. Being this is usually pretty dark, this was always kind of muddy. So we thought, you know what, let's just make a little rock trail. What's nice about this is in the spring or the fall when it's wet, this part stays dry. The rocks keeps the dog feet and our feet clean because this is where our pump house is. Let's take a walk back there. Gonna hold these branches so it doesn't take out my wife who's running the camera here. We've decided not to trim this tree because we want these branches to get big. So we're just gonna kind of deal with it for another year or two. But as you can see, all the rocks, and this isn't all of them, we got more rocks we should pick out. But it's just a nice spot to put them. Gave us kind of a nice little walkway back here through this small portion of the grove. As we come back here, this is where our well is. This well was put in 1936. Now obviously the pump house we rebuilt. When we bought the property, the pump house was completely rotten. So we tore it all down, fixed the foundation, and put up a brand new pump house. But this is where we get the water for our property. Now it's not plumbed. When we need water, we'll pump up, 40 or 50 gallons into a container. We'll wheel the container over to our travel trailer. We have a transfer pump, a little electric 12 volt transfer pump that'll take it from the barrel that we pump the water to and then into our camper. Now what works nice about that, we're in Minnesota. Unfortunately it gets very cold here. I don't have to worry about winterizing hundreds of feet of line over to our trailer. And we don't use that much water. 50 gallons will probably last us, 4 or 5, 6 days, depending how much showering we take. And it's not that big of a deal just to turn the pump on, pump up 50, 60 gallons, and then transfer it over. As we continue our tour here into kind of the northwest corner of the property, we start getting into our grove. We really don't have any purpose for this other than, it's just part of the property. We like it because we don't have to maintain it, we don't have to mow. You can see there's a few branches down we need to get in here and clean it up. But what's nice about this is it's really nice for the animals. We'll always find, deer back here. A lot of birds are back here. So it's just a nice area, just a nice open area that can provide a shade. We've had people pop tents back here. We've got an old storage shed back here that we don't keep anything in. It's just basically just an old U-Haul, I believe is what that thing is. But it's part of our grove. And as we kind of pan around, you can see more of our grove in the back. And again, it's really a nice area for deer. We'll get deer back in here. We've had fox, coyote, all sorts of animals. As you pan here, you can see my wood pile. Now this is just one of a couple wood piles we have on the property. This goes back, it's probably 2 or 3 rows that go back, but this is stuff, when we purchased the property, all this was laying on the ground. Actually, right where my cameraman, or camera woman, my wife Michelle is, there was a huge tree down here. And we spent hours and hours cutting that tree up. Massive tree had come down. And actually right in here is about where one of the houses used to stand. So there's actually 2 houses on this land. One of the houses was roughly in here, and I'll walk you to the clearing where the second house is. But what we use this area for is to get together with friends and family to come out and have a bonfire. We have a nice fire ring. We had so many rocks again. We put some nice rocks around to give it a nice cleaner appearance. And as you can see, we got plenty of wood. We've actually got more wood piles back in the grove. So we got plenty of wood, and unfortunately every year, we'll drop a branch off a tree. So we've been burning off this pile for about 15 years, and we made a small dent in it. But for example, all this wood right here is from a branch that went down about 2 weeks ago that I had to clean up. So we're constantly kind of replenishing our wood pile. As we continue our tour here, I'll kind of show you where the old house used to sit. Actually, as we're walking by it here, we have another one of our yard lights. We put this yard light up about 15 years ago, and it was not in the trees at that time. So it kind of shows how much the trees have grown. But that's a 12-volt LED bulb up there. Again, it's tapped off of our 12-volt battery. So again, I don't need to run my inverter. It's a 100-watt bulb, and it does a really nice job of lighting up this entire area. This area is where the old house used to sit. So right in this area here, there used to be a nice 2-story home. This is the one that actually got hit by lightning, and if you spin around, you can actually see the tree behind us here, and eventually this tree is probably going to fall. But this tree actually caught on fire when the house was burning down. Now over the years, a lot of other trees have kind of grown up around it. I'm just kind of waiting for this tree to kind of someday need to be taken down, which will again add to my wood pile. This is just kind of a nice area in here if you want to play, volleyball or come down with the kids and play. It's really kind of a nice open area. Or if you have other people coming with campers or tents, we can put a lot of tents in this area. Kind of give you a little bit better idea of where we are. If you kind of look through the grove of trees, so you can kind of see where the travel trailer is. That kind of gives you a little bit better idea of where we're at. If we can continue over here, we're kind of coming into the southeast or southwest corner of the property. What's kind of fun about owning a property like that is we've made all sorts of little trails throughout the property. Some have gotten a little overgrown over the years. This is the little trail system we put in. Excuse me, basically to give us access to the grove. Excuse me. You can kind of see here we've got a trail. It's become a little bit overgrown. I need to pick up some twigs. And we've also got this little trail that takes us to the far southwest corner of our property. And you can see, I've got a branch that came down, right here. So I need to get in with the chainsaw and cut that out of there. We like to keep the property nice, so probably next weekend thing I'll come down and do that. And here we are kind of at the southwest corner of our property. Again, just another nice opened area. Unfortunately, we lost this tree. This year we had to take this tree down. Otherwise, there's a beautiful tree here, very nicely shaded, but we lost this tree. So we haven't taken this stump out yet, but something we'll probably work on. But as you can kind of see here, how out in the country we are. We're definitely out in a very rural area, surrounded by just thousands and thousands of acres of open land. So we're really quite private here. So when we're out on our off-grid farm site, we can really get away from the noise of the city, the people, let our dog run, have people come over, and just get away. It's a nice place to get out and unwind. You kind of see the beans down in the field are starting to turn a little bit yellow. It's early September of 2018, so another month. Those will be dried out, and we'll have the equipment out here removing the beans. And then across the street, you can kind of see the corn in both corners starting to dry out here. So probably about another month, the combines will be out there starting to take out the corn. As we continue our tour here, this is a trail that I used to maintain. I've kind of gotten away from it. So I've got to get back in here and mow. But we had another trail that kind of took us and weaved back through this grove. Probably before winter here, I'll go in there and mow that down again and get that trail open so we can get back there. If a branch does drop, we can keep it clean. We chose this over a lake place. We had looked at a lot of lake places, and what kind of turned us off about that is you're so close. Lakes are beautiful, we love them, we love the boating, we love being in the water, but we just didn't want to be so close to people. I don't want to have somebody's cabin here, then 50 or 100 feet somebody else's cabin. We wanted an area that we could really get away from people, let the dog run, and just be able to relax and wind down. And as we're kind of working our way around, we've got another small grove here. And again, in this area, completely overgrown. I believe there was a big tree that had come down from this grove that was laying here. It probably took us about a year, and I'll probably post some pictures of that in this video, kind of give you an idea. But now that it's maintained, it probably takes us, we have 2 riding lawnmowers that we run down here, and it probably takes about an hour a week to mow this down. It really depends on how much we want to maintain. Do we get in here with the weed whipper and trim all around the trees? Not every time we mow. Maybe about once a month we'll come in and do the weed whipping. As we continue our tour, I can kind of show you where we spend probably the majority of our time when we're at our off-grid farm site. This is where we park our 2013 Keystone Sprinter. I did a video that kind of talked about why we went with the trailer and did a tour of the inside. But basically, this is probably where we spend the majority of our time. Since we mowed today, we put the picnic table down. We normally have a picnic table sitting here. We've got our recliners here. We usually have a little table between. And if we do want to watch TV or have the entertainment center playing, this is where we spend the majority of the time. A little bit windy out here today, but typically the weather is absolutely beautiful down here. It's nice in the evening just to come here, relax. We've seen deer walking through the property. We've seen other animals coming through the property. And it's extremely quiet. It's really what we like about being in this off-grid farm site. Typically on the road that our driveway is on, maybe 1 car a day will drive by it. On the next closest road, a couple cars a day will drive by. So it's really peaceful and quiet, just a nice place to get away. And now we're kind of coming back to where we started. Right now I have my Suburban hooked onto my travel trailer. We had to pull it so we can mow under it, so I just used my Suburban to quickly pull the trailer ahead and mow it. And I used it to put back. So we'll go ahead and unhook the Suburban and put that away. It's kind of a tour of our off-grid farm site. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.